All right, let's dive into the world of Mason developers. It's a pretty niche skill set, you know? Might seem a bit mysterious at first. But getting ready for this, I found out Mason developers, they're not just coders, they're like performance detectives, making sure these complex web applications run super smooth, handle tons of data. Speaking of finding the right people, if you're thinking, okay, this sounds awesome, how do I even find these Mason masters? Head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and try out their 5 questions tool. Seriously, it simplifies hiring so much. But first, what is Mason, really? Think high-performance, data-driven web apps. Maybe even keeping those older systems going. That's where Mason shines. It's a powerful framework built on Perl. And to help us understand this world, we've got an expert who can explain not just what Mason development is, but why it matters for making the right hiring choices.
Glad to be here. Mason developers, yeah, they're a special breed, often working behind the scenes, making sure the data-heavy websites we use every day are running like well-oiled machines.
Okay, so we know Mason is all about Perl, but most folks have probably heard of, JavaScript, Python, those big names. So what makes Perl and Mason different? What's their unique advantage?
It boils down to control. Other frameworks, they're great for general web dev, but Perl and Mason, they give you fine-grained control. And that's crucial for complex systems. Imagine you need to customize how your site caches data, making sure it's lightning fast, even with thousands of users hitting it at once. That's the kind of granular control Mason offers, something other frameworks struggle with.
So it's like having a toolbox with every tool you could imagine, not just the basic hammer and screwdriver. That precision must be super valuable for certain types of projects.
Absolutely. And don't forget about legacy systems, the ones that businesses rely on, but are built on older tech. Mason developers are often the ones who keep those systems alive and kicking, even integrating them with newer stuff.
That's amazing. It's like having a translator, bridging the gap between old and new tech, making sure it all works together. So walk me through a typical day for a Mason developer. Is it just endless lines of code, or is there more to it?
It's definitely more dynamic than that. A big part of their day is crafting Mason templates, which cleverly separate the website's logic from its design. Think blueprints and interior design plans. Keeping them distinct makes the whole project more organized and easier to maintain.
So it's like having separate teams, one for architecture, one for interior design, making sure both aspects of a house are top-notch.
Exactly. But it doesn't stop there. Mason developers are also masters of the back-end, the behind-the-scenes stuff that makes a website work. Imagine your site needs to pull customer data from 3 different sources, like sales records, browsing history, and even social media interactions, and then personalize their experience based on all that. That's the kind of complex back-end dance Mason developers orchestrate.
Wow, that's impressive. Like a conductor leading an orchestra, making sure every instrument harmonizes perfectly.
That's a great analogy. And on top of that, there's performance tuning. Mason developers aren't just building sites. They're ensuring those sites can handle the pressure. Like think of a Black Friday sale, making sure it doesn't crash under heavy traffic.
You know those moments when a site crashes during a big sale? It's a nightmare. That's where a skilled Mason developer comes in. They're your secret weapon. They can spot those potential issues before they even happen, keeping your site running no matter what.
Absolutely. They're constantly optimizing code, anticipating traffic spikes, making sure the whole system runs smoothly, even under intense pressure. It's a critical skill set for any business that relies on its online presence.
So we've established these Mason developers, they're like the ninjas of web development. But besides being Perl and Mason masters, what other skills should you look for when hiring one? The Perfect Developer Playbook, which is a fantastic resource from theperfectdeveloper.com, mentions debugging as a crucial skill.
You got it. Writing flawless code is great, but bugs, they're inevitable in software. The ability to troubleshoot, to fix those hiccups quickly, to be that detective who finds and neutralizes the problem, that's golden.
Makes sense. Nobody wants a website that's constantly glitching.
Yeah.
Especially when you're running a business. It's like having a fancy car that keeps stalling. Frustrating and unreliable.
Exactly. And finding a developer with those ninja-level debugging skills, well, that's going to require a certain investment.
Speaking of investment, let's talk about salary. The elephant in the room. The Perfect Developer Playbook actually gives you a realistic range of what to expect, from entry-level to senior developers, which is super helpful.
It really is. Salary, of course, it varies, depending on where the developer is based, their experience level, and even the complexity of the project.
It's like buying a house, right? Location, size, those fancy upgrades, they all affect the price tag. And thankfully, theperfectdeveloper.com, they can help you navigate those variations to find the right talent at the right price, no matter where you are.
Absolutely. They're a fantastic resource for anyone hiring developers, especially for specialized roles like Mason developers.
So you've got your project, your budget, you're ready to start hiring. The Perfect Developer Playbook outlines a few models: full-time, part-time, freelance. How do you know which one is right for you? It's like choosing between a buffet, a fixed menu, or ordering a la carte.
It all depends on your needs. Are you looking for someone to be fully integrated into your team, working on a long-term vision?
That sounds like a full-time hire. Somebody who's in it for the long haul.
You got it. But if you have a more specific need, maybe reviving that tricky legacy system we mentioned, then part-time could be the way to go.
And then there's freelance, those bursts of expertise for specific tasks.
Exactly. Freelancers are great for those targeted projects where you don't need someone long-term, but their specialized skills are essential.
We've talked about the what and the why of Mason developers, even how much they might cost. But how do you actually weigh KNOW? You've found the right one. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, especially with skills as specialized as Mason development.
That's where the real test is, and luckily, theperfectdeveloper.com, they offer some great advice on making hiring smoother.
Right. Their guide is like a roadmap, helping you navigate the hiring process. And it all starts with the interview. But they emphasize going beyond the basics.
Absolutely. You want to dig deeper. Can this developer not only write code, but also explain their thought process clearly? Can they break down complex ideas into simple terms? That shows real understanding. And that's what you want in a Mason Maestro.
So it's not just can you code,
Mhm.
but can you explain why you wrote it that way and how it makes our website this lean, mean data machine.
Precisely. You want to see that they're not just copying code, but actually thinking critically about the best way to solve problems using Mason's unique tools.
And don't forget the portfolio review. Seeing their past work can tell you so much about their skills and their style.
Absolutely. A portfolio is like a window into their mind. You can see their problem-solving approach, their attention to detail, their creative flair.
It's like seeing their signature. Do they build sleek, modern websites or more traditional, intricate designs? Their portfolio gives you a sneak peek.
Exactly. And speaking of getting a glimpse into their world, theperfectdeveloper.com also stresses checking references. It's not just about verifying skills, but understanding their work ethic, their communication style, how they collaborate.
Because even the most brilliant developer can be tough to work with if they're not a team player. It's like an architect who designs a stunning house, but can't communicate with the builders.
Exactly. You want to make sure they're not just talented, but also a good fit for your company culture. Someone who can communicate effectively, collaborate seamlessly, contribute to a positive environment.
So let's say you found your Mason Maestro. The interview went great, portfolio's impressive, references are glowing. Now it's time to talk money.
Ah, the negotiation phase. That's where having those salary benchmarks comes in handy. The ones from theperfectdeveloper.com. They give you real-world data on what Mason developers are actually earning. Helps you put together a competitive offer to attract the best talent.
It's like knowing what houses are selling for in a specific neighborhood. You don't want to overpay, but you also don't want to lowball and miss out on your dream home.
Exactly. And remember, compensation isn't just the salary, benefits, flexible work, development opportunities. These can be huge incentives for the right candidate. It's about creating a package that shows you value their skills and you're invested in their growth.
It's like those extra perks that make a house a home. A nice backyard, a fancy kitchen, maybe a home office. Going the extra mile to create a space where they'll thrive.
Absolutely. Speaking of thriving, let's talk about what happens. After you've hired your Mason developer, how do you bring them onto the team?
That's where onboarding comes in. Making sure your new hire feels welcome, understands the project, has all the tools they need. It's like giving your contractor a detailed blueprint, a fully stocked toolbox, and a warm welcome.
Precisely. A smooth onboarding process makes a huge difference. It sets your developer up for success, integrating them into the workflow, clarifying expectations, providing support so they can navigate the project smoothly.
It's like making sure your builder understands your vision for the house, has the right materials, knows who to ask for help. A good onboarding process prevents those costly hiccups.
Exactly. Now, even with the best hiring and onboarding, managing a dev team can have its challenges. Theperfectdeveloper.com offers some advice on this too, focusing on collaboration, handling conflicts, and keeping your top talent happy.
It's like building a whole community, not just a house. You need a shared vision, clear communication, and a way to resolve disagreements. Otherwise, you end up with unfinished projects and unhappy residents.
That's a great analogy. You're right, it's about creating a team culture where everyone feels heard, respected, and valued, where they can share ideas, address challenges, and work together towards a shared goal. That's how you build a high-performing team.
It's like creating a space where everyone feels like they're building their dream home, a collaborative environment that fosters creativity and a sense of ownership. That's how you create a winning team, right?
You got it. And when you've invested so much in finding and hiring top talent, especially for a specialized role like Mason development, you want to keep those developers happy.
It's like investing in the long-term maintenance of that dream home, regular checkups, proactive repairs, maybe a fresh coat of paint to keep things exciting.
Exactly. It's about creating an environment where developers feel challenged and appreciated, supported in their growth, offering chances to learn new skills, tackle interesting projects, contribute their talents. That's how you retain top talent in this market.
So it's not just about salary and a cool office. It's about creating a culture where developers feel like they're part of something bigger, something meaningful, something they're proud of.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about fostering a sense of purpose and belonging, creating an environment where developers feel like they're making a real difference, not just writing code. That's what truly motivates people.
This is all great advice, but let's be real, even with the best practices, Mason development can still feel overwhelming. Thankfully, theperfectdeveloper.com has a tool that makes the whole process much smoother.
You're talking about their 5 questions tool, right? It's a game changer for hiring Mason developers. Takes the guesswork out of it.
It's like a personal concierge. For your Mason developer needs, you answer 5 simple questions about your project, and they connect you with the perfect platforms, consultancies, or agencies to find your ideal developer.
It's like a matchmaking service for developers and businesses. They take your project details, budget, location, and match you with the best options. Super efficient, takes a huge weight off your shoulders.
Whether you need front-end or back-end expertise, a full-time hire, or a freelancer, theperfectdeveloper.com can help you find the right talent within your budget.
It's like having expert navigators guiding you through the rough waters of recruitment. They help you avoid the pitfalls, streamline the process, and ultimately connect you with the perfect developer.
So if you're ready to dive into Mason development, but feeling a bit overwhelmed, check out theperfectdeveloper.com and their 5 questions tool. It's a fantastic resource that can save you time, money, and headaches.
I completely agree. Theperfectdeveloper.com is invaluable for anyone looking to hire top developers, especially for specialized roles like Mason development. Their insights, tools, and guidance can make the whole process much smoother.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, exploring the world of Mason developers, from understanding their unique skills to the ins and outs of hiring and managing them.
It's clear that Mason developers bring a special mix of technical expertise and problem-solving skills. They're not just coders, they're architects of systems that can handle the demands of today's data-driven world.
And choosing the right Mason developer can truly make or break your project.
Absolutely. Their ability to optimize performance, handle complex data, maintain those legacy systems. It's invaluable in today's digital landscape. They're the unsung heroes of web development, making sure your website runs smoothly, no matter what.
As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question.
Go ahead.
What unique challenges or opportunities do you see in your project that a Mason developer might be perfect for? Take some time to think about that. It might lead you to the perfect solution.
That's a great question. It encourages our listeners to think critically about their needs and how a Mason developer could be the key to unlocking their project's potential.
And remember, if you're ready to find your Mason developer, head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and try their 5 questions tool. It's the quickest and easiest way to connect with the top platforms and agencies specializing in Mason development.
It's a fantastic resource that can save you time, money, and stress, so go check it out.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Mason developers. We'll be back soon with another insightful episode. Until then, happy coding. And that brings us to our second call to action today, if you're feeling inspired to explore the world of Mason development and you're ready to find that perfect developer for your project. Head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and try their 5 questions tool. It's like having a personal matchmaker, for all your developer needs.
It really is. Just answer 5 quick questions about your project, things like your budget, your timeline, the specific skills you need. And theperfectdeveloper.com will connect you with the best platforms, consultancies, agencies to find the right developer, the one that fits.
Whether you're building something brand new or giving new life to an older system, theperfectdeveloper.com can help you find the right talent at the right price. So, what are you waiting for? Go check it out. Well, that was quite a journey, exploring the world of Mason developers. We covered a lot, from what makes them unique to the secrets of hiring and managing them effectively.
Yeah, it's clear these Mason developers, they bring a special set of skills. That mix of technical know-how and problem solving. They're not just coders, they're architects. Building those high-performance systems that can handle the toughest data challenges.
And finding the right Mason developer, it can make all the difference for your project.
Absolutely. Whether you're building an e-commerce platform, a complex data dashboard, or keeping a critical system running smoothly, having a skilled Mason developer on your team can be a game changer.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. What unique challenges or maybe opportunities do you see in your project that a Mason developer might be the perfect fit for?
That's a great question to consider. It might just spark that idea that takes your project to the next level.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Mason developers. We'll be back soon with another insightful exploration. Until then, happy coding.